Sometimes I get a little nervous about spending our evenings watching other people chase their dreams. On one hand, it's inspiring, but on the other hand, you're like, if you spend too much time watching other people do it, when are you going to do it for yourself? Like, you see my guitar behind me. Should I sit and watch people perform on America's Got Talent, or should I come back here and grab my guitar and just play for an hour because it's fun?
Nate, people need to rewind that and listen to that again because there's a whole section in my book called Create Before You Consume.
Okay, let's talk about that. Go.
Well, you just said it. Like, literally, are you going to sit and watch these people? And again, like you said, it's inspiring and we get so jazzed and we love watching the winners and we love watching the underdog. And I don't want to say but and you have to do that too in your life. And so create before you consume is essentially before you go watch that show, before you wake up and just scroll on social media, before you do anything, create something. So many people don't start things because of fear and because of caring what other people think. So what? Are you having fun? Do you like it?
The
Are you
journey
learning
is the
something?
thing. The journey is the thing.
Welcome to Leading with Curiosity. Command and control leadership is dead. We interview leaders, entrepreneurs, and executive coaches challenging old paradigms and fostering cutting-edge leadership. Here's your host, certified executive coach, Nate Leslie.
Kate Vollman, you are on this podcast today because you have a program called Certifying Dream Managers. You've written a book called Do What You Love. You have a podcast called Leading with Culture, another one called Create for No Reason. Creativity and passion is the theme here, but you're also taking time out of your day as the CEO of Floyd Consulting, where you work for someone. You read his book, Matthew Kelly, author of The Dream Manager, reached out to him because it impacted you so much. And years later, you find yourself the CEO of the company. Welcome to the show, and let's get into it.
Thank you so much for having me, Nate. I'm so excited about this conversation. And we were just talking before we hit record, and there's so many things that we have in common in the coaching space and what we do. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, let's do it. You certify dream managers. What do you mean?
I know. So good. It's like the best title, right?
Yeah.
Dream managers.
Yeah.
Essentially, a dream manager, it's the ultimate life coaching program. And dream managers, they come and get certified by Floyd and they go back into the world, many of them into organizations, and they serve as the life coach for their people to help them rediscover their dreams and then pursue and achieve those dreams. And by doing that, they start to become more engaged and energized with their life. We look at the numbers of 70% of the workforce is disengaged,
Yeah.
and they're disengaged at work, but that doesn't mean that they go home and they're engaged. Like, they're disengaged at work, which means they're probably disengaged in their life. And we become disengaged when we stopped dreaming
Mm.
and we aren't focused on that better future that we can create for ourselves. And so by implementing this Dream Manager program, you're really inspiring people to reconnect with the dreams, what matters most to them, helping them achieve those dreams, and then their entire life changes. They show up at work differently, they show up with their family differently. And so we need to continue to inspire people to keep dreaming.
Someone comes to your program, heavily embedded in the practice of coaching, which you and I have dedicated our lives to. They go back to their organization, either in a formal leadership role or perhaps just making that conscious choice to lead and influence. They have those skills to be able to now coach others, but also through this, they're invited to actually really pursue passion and dream big. And so there's that paradigm mental shift as well. So not only do they have the coaching skills, but they're the right person to be in that seat in service of others. Do I kind of have that right?
Yeah. Yeah. We talk, it's funny when we talk to people that, especially in an organization, maybe it's the CEO or the HR executive, and they're saying, we read some Matthew Kelly, he wrote the book, The Dream Manager in 2000, it came out in 2007. And it really inspired so many leaders to get back to what's most important, your people. In fact, he says, I almost didn't write this book because it seems so simple, like treat people like people. care about your people? I mean, really, the whole idea is your organization can only be the best version of itself to the extent that your people are becoming better versions of themselves. And so someone comes to us and they say, "Hey, I read the book. I'm really interested in this program." And they might have someone in the organization they think, "Oh my gosh, you know what? Nate would love to be a dream manager. We see him in that role." Some people say, "We want to implement the program. We might not have someone. And so let's hire someone to come in and be the dream manager for our organization." And then they come and they get certified. Now, to your point, these people, they care about people. Every certification that we do, even when people are nervous, like, "I've never coached before. I don't know how to do this." We always laugh because we're like, these people are meant to do this. Like, they're meant to
Yeah.
be, they care about people. They want so much for their people. And they really get so jazzed and excited when they're able to help someone fulfill a dream.
You're
And they're
attracting
happy
the
to do
program
that.
is the program is attracting that type of person that is fulfilled by being in service to others.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we give them the entire system. So it's very turnkey. They come, they get certified. We teach them how to do a dream storm to introduce the program to the organization. And then Matthew very strategically and intentionally created a curriculum. So, in addition to when you meet with your dreamer, not only are you helping them focus on their dreams and those action steps that they need to do between the time you meet with them and the next time you meet with them, so that you're able to hold them accountable to those action steps, but you're also being fed new content. So every time you meet, you're talking about some different area of your life, whether it's finances, your physical health, your spirituality, time and energy, all the different areas of life. And so through this, you're not only achieving dreams, you're growing as an individual. And on the other side, you've become a different person. You've gained new skills. You're more confident. You're more excited and energized about your life. You're helping other people dream because now it's become such, it's just inside of you. So when you're meeting with your colleagues, your friends, your family, you're asking that question, what's your dream? And what a beautiful gift to give other people.
You mentioned Dreamstorm. What's a Dreamstorm?
Yeah, a dream storm. So Nate, we need dream storms because so many people have stopped dreaming. And
Wow.
just like when you have to work out and build your muscle, we need to work out that dream muscle. And when we've stopped dreaming, it's harder to jot down some of the dreams. Like, we've kind of tucked away our dreams. Maybe we just haven't thought about them or we think they're impossible. And so a dream storm is a way to get people excited again, re-engage with their dreams. And we have to engage that muscle again. And so the dream storm, it invites people. We ask them a few starter questions to just get them dreaming. Because I cannot tell you how many people I'll say, "Well, what are some of your dreams?" And they'll say, "I don't know. I don't really have any." No, you've got plenty of dreams.
Yeah.
You've got plenty of them that you might have just pushed aside. And so we do the dream starter questions that we start asking them, like, if you could, what's your dream car? If you could buy any car, if there was a room in your home that you could, or a space in your home that you could redo or redecorate, what would it be? We ask them about, if there's one person in your life that you could rebuild a relationship or have or strengthen your relationship with them, who would that person be?
Great coaching
And
questions. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like coaching and now they start dreaming, and at the end of the dream storm, we actually show people a list of the 12 categories of dreams. So in the dream manager, Matthew shares the 12 categories, and it's spiritual, character, financial, material, there's creative dreams. There's dreams in all areas of life, and we focus so much on maybe the financial, maybe professional and material dreams, but what about the psychological dreams, your spiritual dreams? These are all dreams that you have, these dreams that maybe you just haven't tapped into in a while. And so we encourage, at the end of this dream storm, we encourage people to write down a list of 100 dreams.
Hmm.
And we get a lot of pushback because again, if you haven't worked that dream muscle, you think 100 is a ton of dreams. But if you take that list of 12, the 12 categories, and you put, 6 to 10 in each of those categories, you have 100 dreams. And
Wow.
it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you have to achieve all of these dreams, but just dreaming. I always say, people are like, "I don't know if I should put it on the list. It just seems like impossible." I'm like, "Doesn't matter. It's a dream. Add it to
Yeah.
the list.
Yeah.
Put it on
Yeah.
the list."
Yeah. It's like no bad ideas, but the word no is negative and so is bad. So it's like, okay, all our good ideas to start. Let's get them on paper. Sounds like kind of like vision. What's your vision for yourself in different areas of your life if there were no barriers? Like just dare, have the courage to say, I deserve this in all these different aspects of my life. Now, so you read the book, The Dream Manager. Tell me about reaching out to author Matthew Kelly, who, by the way, has written dozens of books.
So many books.
Yeah.
So many books. He's written over 40 books. It's sold millions and millions of copies. It's wild. He's incredible. So I read The Dream Manager, and that was his first business book, actually. He wrote The Dream Manager, and then I read that. When I read it, I was working at the Chamber of Commerce in Boca, in Florida, and I was responsible for the programming for our trustee events, which is all the executive level and CEOs. And so I reached out to him and I said, I love this book. I would love for you to be one of our speakers. And he kindly agreed. And the book had just kind of come out at the time. And so he was doing these speaking engagements. So we bought everyone a copy of the book and he came and spoke. And I just fell in love with this idea. I thought it was incredible. And so I myself started implementing some of the things in the book. I started a dream library. I put up a dream board at our office. I started engaging our team in this. I also went up to Chicago at the time when he was doing an event just to learn more about the program. And I just was hooked. And so Nate, when I tell you like a dream I never would have put on my list is to like lead one of Matthew Kelly's organizations. And so it was about 15 years later. And we had stayed connected kind of over the years, but 15 years later, I would never have dreamed that this is what I would be doing.
Now there's a free takeaway for a listener right there, right? You took that courageous action to reach out. I'm sure in all of the dream managers that you've certified, you've seen these bold actions happen. What can you share with our listener who's like, yeah, I'm still cautious about dreaming too big? What do you see people do in a pragmatic way that results in these huge dreams coming true?
Well, I'd be curious your thoughts on this. They'd probably be similar because with our clients, what I find so interesting is how many of them have been scared to put a dream on their list. It's something they've been dreaming about for years. They add it to the list as maybe a 3 to 5 year dream. We focus on like 1 year dreams and then 3 to 5 year dreams and then 5+ year dreams. And I can't tell you how many of our dreamers say, I put this on my list as a 3-year dream. It's something I've been thinking about for years. And they accomplish it, Nate, in 8 months.
Yeah. Nice.
And it's because of the small next right step, those baby steps. You know, we look at this big dream and we think that we have to just make it happen overnight. And it's so overwhelming that it's like analysis paralysis and we stay stuck and we don't move forward. But when we can take that first initial next right step. So anytime when I'm in a coaching session with someone and they're thinking, well, I can't do this or this is too hard or, okay, well, what can you do?
Yeah.
What's the one thing you can do? And then they focus on these small little baby steps. And then, it's like a month goes by and 2 months. I mean, and all of a sudden you realize it's been 6 months and I've actually made progress on something that I have been procrastinating on for years. And so that's what we really see as the biggest, it's people shock themselves.
Yeah.
We're just over here being their cheerleader, holding them accountable, calling them out, asking the right questions. And that's why coaching is such a gift to give people. I would love I don't know if your experience is different, like what you would say to answer that.
As you were talking, two things came to mind. One, a few years ago, the Los Angeles Kings, the NHL hockey team, won the Stanley Cup. They wore T-shirts under their equipment. They all did throughout the playoffs. Why not us?
Oh, yeah.
So many people, the fear is, well, that success is for somebody else to achieve. But why not me? Your example was just taking that step. And now 6 months later, you look back and you're way further along than you thought you were because where attention goes, energy flows, right? Versus pushing it to the side, you'll never get there. And my other version of that, it actually aligns with my nitwit theory. My nitwit theory is I've seen so many wildly successful people, however you want to decide that, and you're like, huh, they did that? I could do that. So it's believing in yourself. And because if you don't, other people are out there believing in themselves. getting, what you're after. And it's on all these different categories, right? We're not just talking about cars or houses or whatever. We're talking about designing your life.
Yes. Yes. I feel like that's the biggest thing is this is why it comes back to dreaming. We need to allow ourselves to dream, to think about how do I want my year? What do I want next year? How do I want next year to look different than it did this year? And then what are those things that I can do to really make an impact and to change? But belief is the biggest thing, and confidence. That's another thing. It's like we work with all different ages, right? Like people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, even 60s. We have a whole program for Q4 coaching, like the fourth quarter of your life and how to make
Nice.
the end of your life the best part of your life. And it's so shocking to me how many people are even in their 50s and they lack confidence. And then they start coaching and they go through it and they're like, I am so much more confident. I believe in my ideas. I believe in my dreams. And even when I would say, like, with your dreams, even if you don't achieve a dream, it's still worth it
Yeah.
because you might start working towards something and then decide, wow, I don't even want this, but I'm so happy I went after it because now it brought me to this direction. I met someone new. I learned a new skill. I realized that this dream that I thought would make my life better actually doesn't. I'm actually very happy with where I am. And I just think that it's so important for us to just follow. I love even just the name of I love following your curiosity. Like if you're curious about something, give yourself permission to play around with it and see, and nothing is final, right? You can always shift and change. And so I just love that idea of just like play, like letting yourself play, letting yourself dream and just being comfortable in the messy middle of it all, being comfortable with the idea that it might not work.
Yeah.
And I think so many people don't start things because of fear and because of caring what other people think. Like, so what? So what? You say you want to start a YouTube channel and have 1 million followers and your friends see you and you have no subscribers and nothing's happening and you still post video. Are you having fun?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
The
Are you
journey is
learning
the
something?
thing. The journey is the thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's the fun part. It's cliche for a reason, right? It's about the journey, not the destination. So cliche, but it's
Here's kind of the opposite. Here's where I check myself sometimes. My kids love The Voice or America's Got Talent, right? And sometimes I get a little nervous about spending our evenings watching other people chase their dreams. On one hand, it's inspiring, but on the other hand, you're like, if you spend too much time watching other people do it, when are you going to do it for yourself? Like, you see my guitar behind me. Should I sit and watch people perform on America's Got Talent, or should I come back here and grab my guitar and just play for an hour because it's fun?
Nate. People need to rewind that and listen to that again because there's a whole section in my book called Create Before You Consume.
Okay, let's talk about that. Go.
Well, you just said it. Like literally, are you going to sit and watch these people? And again, like you said, it's inspiring and we get so jazzed and we love watching the winners and we love watching the underdog. And I don't want to say but and you have to do that too in your life. And so create before you consume is essentially before you go watch that show, before you wake up and just scroll on social media, before you do anything, create something. And now sometimes when I say that, people think, oh, well, what does that mean? Do I have to draw something or like it can be creating a moment, creating doing something with your body. Like everything is creativity, right? Like when you wake up in the morning, you could, I don't know, make a little dance, write a little poem, journal, do anything that is giving yourself that permission to just be creative. Writing is something I know not everyone loves doing it, but it's just it is a creative space where you're getting all of these thoughts out of your head onto the page. And I think it can be challenging for so many people because we're so used to just scrolling so much. We're used to just being on our phones and seeing and doing and consuming all of this stuff. Sitting in silence and just seeing what shows up. Like maybe you just want to draw or doodle, or maybe you want to pick up the guitar and play, or the piano or something that is just creating and just creating just for you. This doesn't mean that you have to write a blog post and share it with the world. It's like maybe you write a blog post that you never share with anyone, but you really enjoyed the process of writing it because
Yeah.
now you came up with this great idea It's just creating to me just means, even if it's creating a moment, if there's someone in your life that you really love and you thought about, go into your phone and into your photos and go scroll and scroll and scroll until you find a really cool photo of them maybe 5 years ago, and then send them the picture and say, hey, remember this day? God, I loved that day spending it with you. And this is a memory that I have. Like, doing something like that is just create something.
I think you just touched on an even wider audience for people who think, oh, but I don't do guitar. I don't want to create a podcast. Create a moment even before you consume. I'm going to my cabin this weekend with my wife. The first thing we do on Saturday morning is sit by the fire and have a coffee, which is our absolute favorite thing to do because it's cold up here. Not like you're not sitting by the fire in West Palm Beach, Florida.
No.
By the time the day's rolling, we've already done our favorite thing in the world,
Yeah.
which is sit together and have the coffee. I wrote underneath, I'm taking notes here, create before you consume. It's like live before you watch somebody else live. Like just take little moments to get out there and do something.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
I love that.
link to Matthew Kelly's book, The Dream Manager, that inspired you, and now your book, Do What You Love, A Guide to Living Your Creative Life Without Leaving Your Job. This podcast is largely targeted to professional leaders. You wrote a book while being a CEO. So let's touch on this creative life. I talk about a whole person approach to leadership. You're the same Kate that loves to write. B's the CEO of Floyd Consulting. Talk a little bit more about, creating the life you want in addition to your job, even if it's not all fulfilled in your job, but then you'll be better at your job itself. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I really believe that everyone is creative, but we are all creative in our own unique ways. And so I wrote this book because no matter if I was working for someone, or I've also owned my own business and I've been an entrepreneur and done all that, no matter what, I always tapped into my creativity. And for me, creativity looks like I love writing, I love poetry, I love creating videos, I have a podcast. Like, those are all like creative outlets, but not for everyone, right? For some people, their creative pursuit is playing the guitar or the piano, or they write novels, or they have the garden. They want to cook beautiful meals and they love to crochet or whatever it is. We all have something. Now, some people might call them hobbies. I look at them as creative pursuits. Like, you are in some way using those as a creative outlet to create something, to make something. And so when we do this, when we are focused and we allow ourselves to, creativity and these activities that we do when our lives get busy, we're working, we have all this stuff going on, those are the things that we stop doing. We stop playing
Yeah.
guitar. And so what was so interesting is, after I wrote the book, and this is a message that I share all the time just because I've really lived this throughout my career. But I was so interested in some of the stories. And one of them was from a chiropractor who wrote me and said, I read your book. And he said, and it reminded me how much I did love playing guitar, but I haven't in a couple years because I have 2 young kids. I'm a chiropractor. I work all the time. I'm involved in the community. Like, I do all the responsible things, and I stopped doing it. And he said, but after I read your book, I decided to bring my guitar to the office. So in between sessions with his patient, he started playing the guitar. And not only did it bring him so much joy, but it also inspired interesting conversations. People like, hey, you have a guitar. Do you play that? Like, oh, what do you play? And oh, you used to be in a band. And so it sparked all these interesting
Good
conversations.
for business too.
Good for business too, because that's the thing that's so interesting too, is like, even with business, right? Like, we do business with people we know, like, and trust. And so you could be talking about, oh, what do you do? And that's awesome. But then ask someone, you love fishing? I love fishing. You love hockey? Oh my God, what about the Panthers and this? And that's when people have like these jazzed up energy conversations, because it's about some of their passions and things that bring them joy.
Yeah.
So doing the things that bring you joy, it's not a nicety. It is a central part of life. We need to do things that bring us joy so that we have more energy to bring to work and to the office. And so I often find that people either, especially with some of their creative pursuits, like maybe podcasting or things, they think, well, I either am going to leave my job and start to make this my career, or I have to stay in my job. Like you can't do both, but those things can occur together.
Yeah.
And your creative pursuit doesn't need to make money. It can. And some people do. And that's amazing. And if you want a business being a podcaster, that's awesome and get after it. That's a dream. That's amazing. But you don't have to. You could literally just do it for the fun of it. Like,
Yeah.
why did we stop doing things just for the joy of it?
As part of a reflective exercise I do with teams called My Leadership Passport, we just look at what's your current battery level like today, 0 to 6? What's going on there? Compared to your typical vitality, like when you're at your best. Are you a 6 out of 6 bouncing off the walls, hide the coffee, Kate shouldn't touch it, she's got all she needs? Or are you low? And then the next step, what do you do to re-energize? We want to be at our best selves professionally and with our families. We need that re-energizing. And then the next question is, when was the last time you did it? It's all...
What do you find when you're asking people that question? Where do you find most often are the answers? Like, have people just forgotten what brings them joy? Do they just not make time for it?
I had a client in charge of an Olympic sport say at the end of that exercise, I haven't thought about what re-energizes me in months.
Wow.
Work, aging parent. And she said, that's unacceptable to myself and for the people that I lead. The battery one is kind of just, that's where you're at. It could be a million influences like today. Kate, what's your battery today? But making that connection between that and what you might be able to do about it to charge that battery, that gap is often where people just simply haven't thought about it. And, some people set out their running shoes and their workout gear and that like just the night before, and suddenly they find themselves at the gym the next day, right? Good habits, right? Speaking of guitars, my best friend runs a extremely successful company. You'd never know it talking to him, but he just leaves his guitar on the couch. And so he touches it like 10 times a day, right? You can run massive companies or be really busy or have kids going everywhere and still find time to do the thing that you love. And I'm always reminded, like 10 minutes, if I played guitar for 10 minutes today, tomorrow I would remember that I played guitar today.
Yes.
It's just in my head. Compared to, I haven't touched that damn thing in months. No, I touched it yesterday. It's part of my life.
And what I love about that, Nate, is that 10 minutes may sometimes turn into 20 minutes or turn into
Always.
10 minutes the next day. Like, it's like, especially like when I write, especially like some of the, like I write poetry and I just do it for fun. Right. And so sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm tired and I don't need to, like, it's not an assignment I need to do to share with anyone. I'm like, oh. Like right now I'm doing a poem a day challenge because Writer's Digest does this poem a day challenge in April and November. So it builds that muscle. So that's another thing, like doing a challenge, like a 30-day or 7-day challenge, like to kind of help you stay accountable too. Then so I sit down like, I'm just going to write something super quick. And so I start writing and guess what? It's not super quick because now I have more energy because I love doing this and I get so excited to write it and then make it good and then post it and share it with the community that I'm involved with. And I was like, meanwhile, 20 minutes ago, I was exhausted and done for the day. And now I'm so much more energized. And so that's what I love so much about it too, is like, these are the things that when we say, I mean, imagine if someone asks you, how much more energy how energized do you feel after you've sat on the couch and binge watched something on Netflix, for an hour versus how much more energized you feel after you've done that 10 minutes of the guitar that you love.
It's just taking action. Sometimes it's bold action. Sometimes it's just a next step. But if I think about my journey professionally, I had an opportunity a couple of years ago to do 2 days with a company. I took slightly courageous action to say, I have some ideas for you. And now it's turned into the biggest project I could have and fulfilling project I could have ever imagined. I think about the run I was on with jet lag in Switzerland at 5 a.m, where I was like, I have an idea I want to share at breakfast this morning. And that was my next step. And so I look back now a few years later and I just think about all the things that have happened if I wouldn't have just shared an idea at breakfast. That's literally what we're talking about, isn't it? Just taking the next step. What do you make of that?
Yeah. And you created
Yeah.
before you consumed. You took a walk, you had this idea, and then you
Yeah.
shared it with your client.
Well, right
Amazing.
there, my best ideas, I'm lucky I live near the ocean here in Vancouver. My best ideas always come walking or jogging on the seawall here. And I used to actually feel guilty because I would drop my young kids at the time off at school and I would take the dog for a run. It's 9 o'clock. I'm like, I'm still living in this 9 to 5 paradigm. Like, shouldn't I be doing something more important? And then every time I run, I get the most clarity that I ever need for the day. And then I go back and create something or serve somebody better. And so it was like giving myself permission to dream, I suppose, and to design my own life. Where does that fit into your world?
That's microphone drop. Like that, do that. Like just do that. Like that's I think you're speaking to a lot of people who are listening. I think that we do feel guilty in fact, I can just hear someone listening to us be like, must be nice to just make time for things that bring us
Nice one.
joy. Right? Like they're
Yes.
thinking that way because they're like, I'm too busy. And yet for some reason, we always find the time for the things that matter most to us. We do. Maybe it's just pockets of time. That's another thing. I just think pockets of time. Maybe you want to sit and read a book and you think, well, I can't do that. You can't sit down for 10 minutes and read 5 pages or 10 pages. No, I think it's again, this all or nothing mentality. We think, oh, I have to sit down, light a candle and make this whole thing and read my book for an hour. No, you could
Yeah.
read 10 pages. And then guess what? 10 more pages and 10 more pages. And all of a sudden you're finished with a book that you have been procrastinating on reading forever because you think you need all of this time. And so everyone's life is very different. And, we do this exercise with our clients where they have to basically track their day, their time, what are they doing? And then that's kind of their reality. And then what's their dream day? And they have to track like, this is what my dream day would look like. And Nate, I can't tell you how many of our clients are like, I actually have more of a dream day than I thought I did. Like it's
Interesting.
they have like some of them. I mean, there's things that they can move around, but they find the time when they create their actual day and then their dream day. And they're like, you know what? Instead of this, I could actually do this, which is part of my dream day. And they can like start fitting it in. And so they realize that it is a little bit more manageable. And again, there are obviously lots of different people out there with different, some have 5 kids, lots going on. I get it. But that's where I always come back to, okay, well, you can't do this, but what can you do? You can't go to the gym for an hour, but what can you do? Can you go take a walk for 20 minutes? Amazing.
That
Let's start with
comes back to core values too. What is most important to you? My wife and I talk about this all the time as you're navigating parenthood. How many things should our kids be in, right? How overly
Yeah.
structured should our kids be in? But they're actually not overly structured because what matters most to us is time together. So if we put them in so many things that there's no time for time together, I have no intention of looking back 5 years from now when my kids are graduating high school and say, oh, I wish we would have spent more time together, right? And so how much is enough of those other things too? That's something we're all navigating, right? But when it comes back to what do you value most, what is most important to you, and then make your decisions based on that.
that. I feel like that is an episode for you to do. I don't know if you should do some solo episodes on this podcast, but how to know when it's enough. Because you just said about enough. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people, because we're so inundated with social media and looking at other people's lives, we think we have to fill all of our time, all of our kids' time, do this, do more, better, faster, more. What is enough?
Sounds like
what does
sounds like an
enough-
episode for Create for No Reason.
Well, maybe we'll come.
There
You'll
we
have to
go.
come. Look at that. See?
Made it
Create.
happen, right? Okay.
Love it.
Yeah, cool. We're doing that. Listeners, we're doing that. Look
Love it.
for Nate on Kate's Create for No Reason. Let's bring it back for the professionals listening. What the heck does this have to do with culture?
Well, look, we've been talking a lot about dreams, dreaming. when you help your people dream, all of the stuff collectively that we've been talking about, right? Like you're becoming a better human, you're more engaged, you're more energized, you're more excited, and that's going to show up at the office. And when you have a bunch of people that are pursuing their dreams personally, they're showing up and they want to achieve dreams professionally, and they want to achieve the mission of your organization. Think about the kind of culture that you're creating. You're creating a culture of dreaming. You're creating a culture that not only people are excited to be around one another and working towards that vision, they are also looking at the leadership and saying, wow, this person cares about me as a human, as a whole person. They don't just care that I meet the numbers and make things happen. They care that I achieve my dream. I want to buy my home, or I want to have a better relationship with my spouse, or whatever their dreams are. They care that those dreams are achieved, and they're doing something to make that happen. And so this is where, like, when we look at our dream manager clients, they just they talk about just the dreams that are being achieved, and the culture shift in the organization, and just how it's just done so much for the teams. And yeah, I mean, this is what people need. People need this in the world. Like,
Yeah.
every organization needs to be caring about their people.
And to bring it full circle, Matthew Kelly said, like, is this too simple? Like, caring about people requires a book?
Right?
The word signal, what it signals to the organization just came to mind. I have clients in a 50,000 person company, and the previous CEO had certain characteristics. The new one will post pictures of himself at a marathon in a crazy part of the world, running it. And the message that leading by example signals to the organization to say it is okay and encouraged to have something outside of work is really profound, seeing the impact that message sent to them. So modeling the behavior, when your dream managers model those behaviors, it's just infectious, and it immediately does what you just said it does. It impacts other people's behaviors all around it. It's like a good infection. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We will link to the Dream Manager in the book, in the notes, your latest book, Do What You Love, A Guide to Living Your Creative Life Without Leaving Your Job Behind. And of course, to Floyd Consulting. Kate Vollman, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Nate. This was so fun.
Thanks for listening to Leading with Curiosity. Please share, follow, and rate the show so that other leaders can make positive change in the world. Connect with Nate at nateleslie.ca. And remember, the brain behaves very differently when encouraged to think rather than told to listen.